students to establish themselves academically.
Other resources in terms of internships, obviously, study abroad.
Hi, I'm Imani Yorker, the host of A Different View, which is an interview series for incoming and current students from the perspectives and viewpoints of Black Maryland faculty, staff, professors, and professionals. Today's interviewee is Brent Hernandez, who is the Assistant Director of College Park Scholars. So, what is some advice you have for Black Terps and their success?
When coming to college, obviously we're coming here to achieve some sort of academic goals, to get involved, to learn yourself. One of the things that I think is very important is for students to establish themselves academically initially. Ultimately, we're here for an education. You do well in your courses, you're able to maintain a healthy academic life. And that's going to help you throughout the next 4 years. So when students come to the university, focusing on the academics. Now that's easier said than done. Students will have to find out different things about themselves, such as how they study best, what environments they study best. They're also going to figure out what types of teachers complement their learning style, whether it's lecture format, whether it's more active learning. Figuring those things out for yourself, maybe coming up with a daily schedule where you study most nights, if not every single night. Establishing yourself academically, at least for that first semester, that first year, I think would be most important. Once you get that, figuring out also tapping into your resources. There are a variety of different faculty and staff who are on campus who are here to assist students of color, Black students, brown students. Tapping into those resources, that's very important. But there are also faculty and staff members who are here to just help all students, right? All students who need assistance. Tapping into those resources as well. And some of that is going to be staff members, but some of those will be faculty members as well. Meeting with a faculty member, say after class, during office hours, having discussions with them and connecting with them. All of those will contribute to success.
So, what allowed you or what influenced you to choose your profession?
Very good question. It was somewhat of an accident. I actually went to college as a communications major. I wanted to be on television, at least I thought so. And at the time, as a high schooler, and I think this is something that happens with a lot of high schoolers, students of color, but also everybody in general, it's very hard to understand what the concept of a major is. And of course, I did not understand what the concept of a major was. At the time that I was in high school, I knew that there were, 5 different fields of study. Business, but I wasn't good at math, so that excluded that. I like to draw, so I thought architecture, but I was terrible at math, so I didn't do that. I thought about being a doctor. I like science, but science did not like me, so I did not perform well in those science classes, so that didn't happen. And then the other major that I thought of was, I could be on TV. I'll be a communications major. Took communications courses for a year, loved it, did pretty well in those courses. It did not fulfill me though. I did not enjoy those classes. I did not enjoy it even though I performed well in them. Wound up doing some volunteer work in my sophomore year, where I worked in a local housing project, working in an after-school program, and it was awesome. And figured out that I actually enjoyed working with students, particularly from low-income areas. Really had a passion for it. And then my sophomore year, I changed my major to secondary education. And then I needed a subject area in which I could teach. And that subject area was Latin. Latin, I just happened to be good at it. I actually took Spanish in high school didn't do so well in it. And so someone said, well, you should take Latin because it's pretty easy. So I actually took Latin, did well in it, did well enough to continue it in college as just, let me just take these classes because I did well in them. And it wound up helping me to assist choosing another career path and major, where Latin became my area that which I would study. Secondary education was my minor. And my plan at that time in high school was, in college, was to be a high school Latin teacher for the rest of my life. That was actually my career goal. As I progressed through college in a master's program, while I was still thinking about teaching Latin on a high school level, I realized that I just enjoyed working with students, period. And so my career field and interest somewhat expanded. It went from just being interested in teaching high school to just being interested in educating students, which is kind of where I'm here today, why I'm here today.
So if you could go back to your college self now, what is some advice that you would give yourself back then?
One, I would say, this is something I mentioned earlier, I did not need to fail to figure this out, but I focused on academics my first year, and it worked. It really helped me to progress as a person, as a student. When you don't have to worry about failing out, it's a lot easier to focus on a bunch of other things. And so I would go back and say, hey, remember how you focused on studying your first year? Well, do that again, because that actually worked. Something that I didn't necessarily know about, did not necessarily understand, was choosing a major and then choosing a career. I really wished in high school I would have done a lot more exploration than I did. Ultimately, I'm a person that believes if you're happy where you are now, everything you've done before that was not a mistake, it was good. And so ultimately, I think it was good that I kind of selected a communications major, didn't like it, and chose to major in Latin and secondary education. But if it was one of those things where I had to go back in time and do something different, I would have probably actively explored more majors than just those two.
Thank you.